Hey everyone, it is Mica, and today I'm going to play a little Final Fantasy while I tell you a story, because I was going to animate it, but I am not that capable in Adobe Animate yet. So, recently I got to meet Miss Felicia Day, and I was super excited about it because I am, of course, a fan. And when I finally did meet her, I promptly made an ass out of myself. At least I think I did. So I figured, hey, may as well share the story with the world because that will make me feel better about it, right? I mean, that is how it works, right? Anyway, but before I get into all the little embarrassing details, I want to talk about her new book, Embrace Your Weird, because that's the whole reason I got to meet her in the first place. And if you're a creative person, or even if you're not, it may be something to check out because it is wonderful. And I have the links below so you can go see for yourself. After this video, of course. Unlike her first book, which was a memoir, and I also suggest because it does have some fun stories in it, Embrace Your Weird is very interactive and geared toward the more creative types out there. Although it does have a lot of things in there that she talks about that can be applied in other areas. It deals with the emotional and personal aspects of the creative process rather than the actual art of creation itself. Throughout the book, Felicia shares her stories about anxiety and self-doubt, something a lot of you, I'm sure, are intimately familiar with. I know I am. And how they've affected her both personally and professionally. But she doesn't just talk about her problems, she also talks about things that she's done to solve them, things that she's realized over the years about what it's like to be a creative person that is riddled with insecurity. And not only does she give us that information, she drives it home by including all these little exercises in drawing and writing and whatnot that are geared to help you break down a few walls and get those creative juices flowing. And I will admit, some of the exercises come across as really uncomfortable, but that's the whole point. In each chapter, she's trying to get you to do something outside of your comfort zone, to do something that may on the surface feel silly. But when you do it, when you get over that hump of personal discomfort, that is when you can really start facing your social discomfort. But the best thing about this book is how it's set up, because Felicia Day is not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. She is not someone who claims to be an expert on feelings they have never experienced themselves, especially to the extent some of us do when we pick up a paintbrush or write a short story or make a video, and then even think about sharing it with the outside world. She is a creative, just like you and me, and when she speaks to us, it's not in the calm and impersonal voice of a doctor, but in the voice of a peer, someone who's saying, hey, I get it, so let me try to help. And all of this is done in the most, I don't know, how do you describe it? The most Felicia Day way possible, which honestly just makes it better. Now, I'm going to recommend you get both the hard copy and the audiobook, because the hard copy is great to read on the bus or the subway while eating lunch, or if you're like me, sitting outside in your little grove. It's also easy to go back and find something in case you need to redo that one exercise or find that one thing that she talked about that you could really use some advice on right now. But the audiobook is good because, well, she's just an excellent narrator. I had a bit of a problem really getting to her first book, but when I listened to her read it in the audio version, it made me actually laugh out loud sometimes and gave me the feels others. Plus, it's like having your own personal little Felicia Day cheering you on, giving you that positive reinforcement so many of us need. But I'm sure you guys want to hear the embarrassing story, right? I mean, that is why you're here still, right? Okay, let's get to it then. So the first thing you should know, and if you follow me on Twitter, you likely do, is that I've tagged Felicia Day in tweets a few times and responded to things that she's tweeted out herself. And a few days prior to meeting her, I had tweeted out about it a couple times because, I was excited. Come on, how often do you get to meet someone that you admire? And the day of the signing, we had to drive a couple hours into Cincinnati. And since we didn't know what lines were going to be like when we got there, we ended up being just over an hour early, meaning we had time to kill, which, side note, we did in the cafe attached to the bookstore she was signing at, and they had some amazing apple pie. But anyway, when the event actually began, she came out and talked really briefly and then jumped right into signing books and taking photos. We were in the F group, so after all was said and done, the wait was pretty long. But that's really not a big deal. I go to conventions and I'm a pro at the line game. And while we were waiting, I was able to watch, and I realized most people had around 30 seconds, give or take, with her. So of course, being the type of person I am, I went over and over and over in my head what I wanted to say to her when I got up there. And I had this whole thing planned out and scripted and edited down so I would be quick and not be that annoying fan dude. Then the time came and I got up there and she looked at me and said, "Mica? Hi, Mica." And okay, so we did have our names written on a post-it in the book so she could do the signing faster, but I had not seen her open my book yet. And I was like, holy crap, did Felicia Day just recognize me from Twitter? And everything, I mean everything I've ever tweeted to her went through my head in an instant as I tried to figure out why she would possibly remember me, and if it was because I was memorable for all the wrong reasons. And nothing came to mind. I mean, I do try to be a decent person on social media, so it couldn't be that I was memorable because I was an asshole, unless, of course, it was unintentional assholery. I mean, that does happen. But then I thought, oh God, does she probably have a bunch of weird dudes being weird? And as someone who is very socially awkward, I do have times where I can come across as a little cuckoo or my humor just falls flat. And then it gets even worse because I feel the need to explain myself. I mean, I'm just a mess. Seriously, if you ever see me on the street and say hello, I'm going to be like, "Hi, human. How you, human? Why you run, human? Bye, human." I really should have done that on video because that would have been hilarious. So, this is my moment, and I've been practicing this for hours, so I got this, right? I walk up to her awkwardly because I don't know the etiquette or how close I should get and what I should do, and I crack a joke. And it was so super lame and embarrassing. I mean, it wasn't offensive or whatever. It was just dumb. So dumb. Not something you want to say to someone when you first meet them. And, you know, I was going to share what I actually said, but I'm just going to leave it as one of those great mysteries of Mica because just thinking about what I said makes me cringe. And she was so nice, and she snapped this picture with me, and she ran with that joke and she built on it, and everything else I wanted to say was lost. So I smiled awkwardly and I laughed even more awkwardly. Then I turned around and just went down the stairs. I could literally hear that "you lose" sound from The Price is Right play in my head at that moment. You know, that dun 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 dun. But I got an autograph and a pic, so maybe next time I will do better. But even though I wouldn't tell you the joke, I am going to tell you what I wanted to say. Kind of because, you know, if Felicia Day just happens to be listening, I still want to get the message across. I mean, I highly doubt it, but you never know. So what I was going to say is I wanted to thank her for writing this book because I can't speak for other people, but I've dealt with a lot in my life that left me with crippling self-doubt, anxiety, and really crippling depression. Seriously, this channel was a way for me to put myself out there more, to give myself something to work on, and I've almost deleted it and all my social media a few times already because in my head, no one cares what I have to say and that this is giving me a way to connect with people. In my head, I feel like I'm making an ass out of myself publicly every time I post a video. So having that own little Felicia Day cheer me on, hearing her say, "Hey, do it anyway, screw anyone who talks smack," having the voice of someone who understands, a voice that I don't really have in real life, is important. And even right now, in my head, I'm thinking, wow, people are going to think this is so stupid and cheesy, and should I even post this video? Or maybe I'll just rewrite it? I mean, blah, 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 whatever. But I did post it, and that is why she wrote this book now, isn't it? So, Felicia Day, thank you. And to everybody else, go and buy this book. It is really well worth it. And as per the usual, it has been a hoot. Until next time, have fun.